On April 29, 2017, the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County collaborated with the Whitefish Bay Public Library and Wisconsin Public Radio to hold a public meeting on Bridging the Polarization Divide. Here is the response of Republican and former leader of the Wisconsin State Senate, Dale Schultz, to Wisconsin Public Radio host Kathleen Dunn.
Dale Schultz and Tim Cullen, brothers at the hip in bipartisanship. They drive in the same car together. They travel around the state of Wisconsin working on, speaking to groups like this, talking mostly about redistricting. Tim, Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader and state senator for many, many years, and Dale, who was also the state majority leader for many years, and he's the second longest serving member of the legislature in the history of the country, which is something. So they'll give their take, and you've got a minute and a half. You each get a minute and a half.
Well, I too want to congratulate you on a great crowd today for a very important program. Before I begin, I do have to straighten out a slight misconception. I did serve 32 years in the Wisconsin legislature. That's a long way from a national record. Fred Risser has served longer than any other legislator in the history of the country. I would have been tied for second had I run for re-election. I do and always have had another life besides being a legislator, and now I'm getting to enjoy that. Let me begin by congratulating all of you on 3 rules for building a conversational bridge, that bookmark that I looked at here, and I just think that that's critically important. Tim gave you sort of the origins of this divide. I'd like to give you what I think are some solutions after first sort of disagreeing a little bit with some of what I've heard. Well, no, it's just a little different take on how I see the world. I think the world is a lot less ideological than people realize. I think it is as tribal as they think it is ideological. And let me just give you one story or illustration of why I think that's true. I grew up, and the main thing confronting Republicans in this country was always regarded as the communists. I think we were going to be against the communists. Now I find myself scratching my head, seeing my Republican colleagues wanting to embrace Russia and push away the mild-mannered socialists in Europe. That's not ideologically consistent. And I think if you go through issue after issue, you begin to see that and realize there's something not else at work here, and I just refer to it as tribal. People immediately cross their arms in front of their chest like they're going to take a blow as soon as things begin to heat up, and that's why your points are so very, very important. Let me say that if you want to be successful, and here are the solutions, avoid heretic hunting. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you spend all of your time in the party rooting out people who don't adhere to the partisan line that so many in the political parties want, there can't ever be a middle. And believe me, the two of us have had our share of that, being a rhino and a dino. Most of my life, politically, I've spent fighting, for the things I believed in, and I tried hard to hold my own ground and got moved consistently to the left. But I think I'm still the same guy. I would recommend, for a solution, focus on a limited number of issues. Don't try to be engaged in everything. If you're ever going to be persuasive, you need to be knowledgeable. In my own case, I focused on redistricting, educational funding for K-12 university and our technical colleges, and then both Tim and I made a contribution to join a group, one of many, United Against Hate. I think we'll never have a dialogue if it's preceded by hate that really drives people apart. And I would say that Mahatma Gandhi had it right. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Set a good example. And that's what Tim and I ultimately came to realize if we were going to be effective, we had to go out and show people that Republicans and Democrats could disagree from time to time, still be good friends, and have a higher purpose than just internecine warfare in the country constantly. And then finally, I would say, have fun, make friends on both sides of the aisle. If we do these things, I think we will be successful. And I'd like to close with a unapologetic, brazen plug for Tim's book. If you haven't read it, it's in the back, and I want you to know I was honored to read each chapter as he wrote it. I was just stunned at how disciplined he was as he cranked that out. It's a pretty insightful read. It's not difficult. I think you'll enjoy it. And all the profits go for scholarships. Not a penny goes into his pocket. In fact, he subsidized the whole effort. It's for school kids in the Janesville School District. So that's my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.